Why does
I'm here trying to show out in this little. Is that shark left or shark right? Were you dancing for Katy Perry during the Super Bowl?
Nope. I don't dance with Katy Perry.
You don't dance for
money
Katy
moves.
Perry?
I make money moves with Katy Perry.
Okay,
Somebody
Cardi
please
B.
shoot me in the face. Somebody please shoot me for saying that.
Yeah.
I hate myself.
Yeah, you should hate yourself for saying that.
So are we doing the Nightfall tonight with Frodo, or what the hell's the deal?
I don't know. That's
Dude,
all.
are you? No.
As you can see, he's more concerned about what's going on over there. So, anyways, what's going on, everybody? It's another episode of the Playback Gaming Podcast. As we were here last week, and we were actually discussing what we were anticipating for E3, things we were excited for. Well, E3's come, and for people who are viewing from home, it is gone. So all of the conferences have gone through. We've seen all of them. Nintendo was the last one. Of course, they did the standard. We're going to do a video beforehand, and then they're going to showcase it. Plus, with a little bit of a treehouse right afterwards. So they were the last. But first up was EA. But before we get that, let's go ahead and let's get through all of our introductions. Of course, I'm Dizzy81, and as we can see over there, Knob Creek.
What?
Knob Creek is over there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I don't think we're licensed for product placement yet. I don't think we're that famous.
Oh.
I know, right? We're gonna have to censor that out. We're gonna get a strike already. Oh well.
Because I'm pretty sure we're like 18. I'm
not saying we're encouraging underage drinking, but if it happens. So what up, Reaper? How you been? What you been up to? What you been playing?
Well, I actually just finished doing 2 raids on Destiny, so angry as shit as always. But living the dream. What you up to, Dizzy?
We're doing this podcast. What about you, Warfingers? How you been?
I've been good. A little busy, but good.
Yeah. What you been up to? You just saw. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna have to address this right now. You just got out of a movie, and you said this movie was trash.
It was absolute poo-poo.
Okay,
oh my god!
It came from the podcast right the fuck now. We do.
Imagine the nastiest piece of dog shit you ever stepped on in your life. That's what that movie related to.
I do my best trying not to step on dog shit. So
yeah, but it happens, right? Just kind of like this movie, it just happens. No one stopped them.
It can, but I do my best to not step in the dog shit because that's the kind of person that I am. So what was this movie that you saw that was so dog shit? You tell me.
Oh, it was Infinity Wars.
Oh. And here comes the outrage and the uproar from everybody else who actually...
In your opinion, what made Infinity War shit?
People died, bro.
Well, I mean,
I was so let down.
The word war is in the title.
Yeah. But it wasn't a war. He snapped his stupid metal fingers, and I was like, wait. Time out. First of all, how do you snap metal fingers?
How does that work? That's kind of like saying Star Wars.
Point taken. Okay, so he snaps metal fingers away. Well, it really wasn't a war. Okay, yeah. Point taken.
It was a war.
There was one war, and I was excited about it. It was when the end of Wakanda came. So I was like, Zamunda forever. See what happens?
Zamunda forever. Are you done?
But anyways, yeah. I mean, it was all right. It was a good movie. It was cool. All right. I was just talking about
it. Crossed $2 billion internationally, I think, this weekend. So it's the 4th movie to ever do that for a superhero movie.
Nice. Right. What about you, Duke? What have you been up to? How you been?
I've been doing good. Been playing a little bit of my VR gaming. It's the future. For you at home, you'll notice that there's nothing in there. Magic. Anyways, I've been doing all right. Been actually playing a lot of tabletop gaming. Some board games like Sheriff of Nottingham. Sheriff of Nottingham is the first one that comes to mind, where there was a lot of drinking involved, so can't remember the rest. Still playing State of Decay. The anniversary for Overwatch is coming to its end. And just kind of watching E3.
Right on. So no shoots on ladders?
No. We had a different game, but I don't think I'm legally allowed to say it on the YouTubes, as it is both explicit and just not proper.
I mean, fuck. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think I'm right.
Oh my god, this man language, doesn't he? What up, Clutch? It's good to see you back here in the chat with us, hanging out. So let's get this thing started. So there was the first event was EA. Did anybody get to watch the EA event?
I got to watch it on the rebroadcast because that's just who I am. I'm not really much of a live person, so to say. I feel like, because I've always been, I wouldn't say on the EA or fuck EA bandwagon, but I feel like they may have learned a little bit of a lesson, or at least they're catching way too much flack for Battlefront 2. Because the new Battlefield 5 looks kind of interesting, especially because after the first trailer they dropped, it was kind of met with a lot of what the fuck. But once you've seen the actual gameplay stuff, and once you actually seen how they're explaining a lot of the mechanics, that if you go back and watch that trailer again, it makes a lot more sense. So really kind of looking forward to Grand Operations. That looks like an interesting concept. Mobile defense units. The fact that tanks now have finite amount of ammunition without resupplies, squad spawning, things like that. It kind of feels like a better version of Battlefield, which is always a fun game.
Yeah. What about Anthem? How did you feel about Anthem when you saw that?
EA's crack at Iron Man. That's definitely going to be one that I want to see actually hit shelves and have people play before I kind of really look at it seriously. Not that it looks like it's going to be bad. It just, I mean, it kind of was the reason why Andromeda failed poorly. Yeah, did not go well because half their team got scavenged for Anthem. So it's kind of sad seeing a series that I really liked, Mass Effect, kind of get hit by that. But at the same time, hey, it might be interesting to see what they did with it. But I definitely want to see word of mouth on that before I shell out $60 for it.
Right around. I can't be the only person who thought that Anthem looked like RPG Titanfall set in Monster Hunter's world.
I'd say it was like Monster Hunter meets Destiny.
Yeah, I can see that too. In Iron Man suits, yes. And then that one random warlock that's flying around. Right. So
that's Iron Man's friend Doctor Strange in a Doctor Strange.
At the end of EA's conference, what would you give EA's conference as a whole?
I give it 4 sunshines out of 5 houses. I don't believe in arbitrary numbers.
That sounds about right. So the next up we had Microsoft's with
Wait, what about the other 2 knuckleheads? You guys going to chime in anything?
I didn't even watch EA. I
caught a little bit of Anthem. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed. It's
Look, Destiny, I thought we talked about the day drinking guys. I mean, we're journalists now.
It's not day anymore.
Journalists. Regularly, I hear.
And bring me more pictures of Spider-Man.
Ooh, that was one thing I did like about Spider-Man's suit from Infinity Wars. That was pretty cool. I have to give him that.
If you're pre-order now, you can get it in the new Spider-Man by Sony.
Oh, word.
So what did you think about the EA conference, Carlos?
I really didn't catch a whole lot of it. I just did catch the Anthem unveil, and like I said, I don't know. I feel like it's everything else that we've been seeing lately, though, man.
Right.
You know, that's why we were able to compare it to. Oh, that looks like Destiny. Oh, it looks like Monster Hunter. There was only one game, well, a couple games that really impressed me this year, and I'm sure we'll get to that later, though.
Right on. As I'm sitting over here having my own little malfunctions with my mic. No, as I was watching, I'll be honest, I was bored out of my fucking mind watching EA. They brought a guy out there that was a Madden champion to talk for God knows why, but that's beyond me. It was ironic because he came out on stage to talk crap to a actual wide receiver in the NFL, which, you know, again, they did talk
better than the wide receiver in Madden.
I don't know.
Hey man, esports are still sports.
Esports might be sports, but oh my god, look. You're here. You're supposed to be impressing us with these games, and you bring up this kid that one, he had an attitude the entire time that he was up. He was really cocky, arrogant, stuck up, and like the vibe of the conference already at this point was already shot. You know, like whenever I give it the grade, I was honest on Twitter. I told anybody who rates this, if you're on a scale of 10, if you rated it above a 3, you're not to be trusted. I gave it an F. To me, it completely fell flat on its face. Everything that we wanted to see, we didn't get to see any of it. It was very hard to understand most of the conference. But it almost felt like that nobody, even the devs included, nobody came prepared to actually speak, to do any kind of public speaking. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be selling us on this game. And you step up here, and we can't understand you, and you really don't even know what you're talking about. And like, I mean, midway they have Zampella, Vince Zampella, you know, the founder of Infinity War and Respawn, and then you know, creator of Titanfall. It almost sounded like that he was pitching his Star Wars game there on the floor, like he didn't even realize he was going to be saying like, "Oh, It really felt like that he was forced to be there. He didn't really want to be there, and he didn't want to give any information. But he's kind of being told by EA like, "You need to tell this or else."
Yeah. I mean, I kind of would like to talk about Jedi Fallen Order, but at the same time, like, there's nothing, I guess, really to talk about besides it's between 3 and 4, and it's about Jedi surviving Order 66. So
it's during the dark ages of the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
that's what we know.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, at the end of the day, it was just very hard pressed to really enjoy anything that they had. They did have a one unexpected, which was Unravel 2, which was co-op, and then they released it that day. So that was actually pretty good to see. And then they spent a good, 10, 20 minutes doing an esports segment on a mobile game for Command and Conquer.
Yeah, I kind of skipped over that part.
A 20-minute segment. Why? Why would you do that? I digress. EA to me got a flat out F. Wasn't impressed. It's to the point where I was kind of excited for the next Battlefield because I do enjoy the Battlefield series. I don't think I'm purchasing it. There was nothing there so far that has told me that, hey, you need to play the next Battlefield. Anthem, I'm still not impressed with Anthem. I have to be the only person that I knew at that time on Twitter that was saying, like, I'm skipping Anthem. Again, to me, it looks like Titanfall meets Monster Hunter in an RPG element. We don't know a lot about it, but that was EA. Anybody have last words for EA's conference?
You're not going to skip Battlefield 5. We both know this.
I with everything else that is coming out that month, yeah, like September through February is an onslaught of games. So there's a very good chance that Battlefield just goes.
My wallet already hurts for those 2 months for that entire.
Yeah, October 19th. So it's a week before Red Dead. Right before it's got Call of Duty. I mean, October's got a bookend of a really big game. FIFA 19 as well, but I don't play sport ball games, so I wouldn't know. So yeah, Red Dead right behind it.
Mm-hmm. You got Call of Duty, you got Battlefield in there.
I mean, between two of them, I'd probably pick Battlefield over Call of Duty, but I've been out of Call of Duty for a long time. I mean, Battlefront 2, I mean, if we're going to talk about the redheaded stepchild right now for EA, the only people I know who could mess up a Star Wars game. I mean, it's getting a lot of back-end support now. Apparently, whole new year. I don't think they give up on loot boxes, really, as a concept. I think they're just going to kind of back off of it for a little bit and then come back with it. But Battlefield 5 has no loot boxes, has its little battle royale mode, has a lot of customization. I do like the engine destruction. I do like prone on your back for all you guys who like to snipe. You can finally, pop around and make sure that guy's not going to knife you from behind. But yeah, I think we kind of hit on everything that EA has besides Sea of Solitude, the EA original. That looks kind of interesting because it's supposed to be the whole loneliness and depression aspect as well as kind of like the adventure. I think they're trying to go for that. Oh god, what was the game where you're like in the desert with that cloaked person? And you're just walking. It was like a Nintendo game, I think. Or no, it was a PlayStation game. Journey, I think.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But I think, yeah, if you like sports ball, I mean, EA gets sports ball, but they're not even really pushing it as heavy as they normally
do. I mean, whenever you look at that, like, I mean, their NBA, like Madden's pretty much, Madden and FIFA are the only things that are saving them. NHL, people are going to still, they'll play the NHL, but it's really not innovative as it used to be. And I mean, NBA Live gets slaughtered all the time by 2K.
NHL 94 is still the GOAT.
So after EA, we had another conference, which would have been the next, the following day, which was Microsoft.
Yep.
So, Mr. Warfingers, I know that you watched that with us. What did you think of? Why don't you give us a little bit of a recap?
Honestly, I don't remember a whole lot.
This man was drunk the entire time.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft showed the most games, like around 50 or so, 18 being exclusive, 15 world premieres in terms of like information being put out there. I'm not trying to step on toes, and I know I talked a lot already, just things that popped out to me. Halo Infinite, just because they're showing that new game engine that they're working on. The fact that they showed Kingdom Hearts 3 before Square Enix, that was kind of interesting. It's also going to be on Xbox. I mean, that was kind of a big coup for them in terms of like stuff popping out. Showed a little bit of Battlefield 5 since we were just talking about it. Fallout 76 before Bethesda's big thing.
They even had Todd Howard come out on stage to even introduce that.
Apparently PUBG is getting some backend support, or is getting some support from Microsoft, like a brand new map and some stuff for there. Hopefully they're cleaning that up. Division 2 popped up in Ubisoft's thing. Trying to think. A lot of Forza Horizon stuff. I'm not a big racer, but I mean that's some people. That's the thing.
We've already determined that there's going to be the hashtag for the Forza Horizon 4, which is rip sheep or rip cobblestone walls. Was anybody else impressed with the fact that they were driving that McLaren straight through those cobblestone walls like it was paper?
Yeah. They said, "Hey, look, hey, look, a solid stone wall. Fuck it, I got it."
It's like, I get it. It's arcadey and everything. At that point, I was just like, I was expecting them to bounce off the cobblestone wall, and it was like, whoa. He went right through that motherfucker.
Just drove through that and kept going. No damage to the car. I was like, all right, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, there was actually quite a few on there. There was actually a couple of them that surprised people. The Devil May Cry 5, like who would have anticipated that actually being a Microsoft's reveal? Go ahead. I think it was at this point that Reaper started taking his pants off.
If I wasn't wearing this fucking onesie, I would show you exactly what I was doing during the contest.
Thank God for the onesie.
I'm just, man, I'm thankful that you're gonna. Oh, people that don't know, we discussed it last time on our podcast. There was a bet made that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to release in November. Didn't get solidified on air. Barely got solidified off air, but Disney does owe me
this is true. As everybody saw last time, we made the bet. I said it was going to be in November, and unfortunately, I was wrong. But fortunately for him,
never doubt my Kingdom Hearts knowledge, man. Come on.
But listen, this man also thought that this was going to be a game that was never going to come out, and he's going to get it in January.
I never said never. I said when I'm 70 and it comes out, I'm still going to buy it. I figured it was going to be another 30 years before this game came out. I'm not going to deny that fact. But, yeah, man, it's coming out in January. You owe me you'll put the money down for the full price game, regular version game. I'm getting the deluxe edition, which is going to cost me $80, like an extra 20. Not paying the $230 for that super deluxe thing because I don't want those fucking figures that bad. But yeah, man, Kingdom Hearts 3, probably the greatest series that Sony ever lost to cross-platform, is officially coming out on January 29th, and I could not be happier. I actually spent a good 30 minutes today at work listening to and watching a Kingdom Hearts story recap just to get ready for my Kingdom Hearts 1 run-through tomorrow.
I think one of the deluxe versions comes with basically all the prior ones.
That's as far as we know right now, that is just for the PlayStation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think for one of the deluxe ones for PlayStation.
It might be. We don't know if that's going to be a full exclusive or if maybe in time it might come over. We don't know. It's up in the air at this point, but yeah, you are right.
It will most likely just be a full exclusive because, like you
so
said.
What was So what did y'all? What was the best announcement that you had at the Microsoft conference?
I mean, we still kind of miss some. Like we missed their Zelda game, which is Tunic.
Wait. Four Fingers. What did you call Tunic?
It was a wolf Zelda.
I knew he remembered something.
Yeah,
he goes, wait, what is this? Fox Zelda?
Yeah, Fox Zelda. There you go. Fox Zelda.
It sure as hell seemed like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Furry stage.
Okay, so you say Tunic.
No, I'm saying like we like there's a Battletoads, there was Tunic.
Oh, Battletoads was cool.
Three Gears games. Dying Light 2, which is the big thing for me, is that the scenario writer for that has a pretty good pedigree for like really good narrative games like Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment, like just older kind of RPG element games. With the big thing about whole like choices and changes. I think that'd be an interesting bet. Dying Light was a kind of an I wouldn't say under the radar, but kind of an unappreciated gem. If we're talking about what was the biggest thing for me personally, I would have to go with Cyberpunk 2077 by CD Projekt Red.
How about the introduction for that too?
I mean, I remember when the first teaser came out in like 2013, and then they just put it away while they worked on Witcher's 3, and it's just like Witcher 3 was so great. Always been a fan of them since I played Witcher 2. Went back, played the first one, which is a little hard. I kind of hope that they make like an updated version of that with an engine or something. But they're solid games. Really looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077. It's a game that I broke my no pre-order rule for, just because, I mean, this is a company that does a really great job remembering what it's like to be a gamer. And so it's like you put $60 down, you're getting everything that they make for it. So I will always stand by them and their approach to consumers.
Right, free DLC with that one. What about you, Reaper? What was the highlight of your Microsoft?
See, this is difficult because if we're going like...
We know that it was the Pop Vinyls Gear of War for the mobile.
See, this is where it's difficult. Like, the best part, the absolute best thing that happened to me with the Microsoft conference was getting a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3. But that was spoiled the night before by Frodo, who messaged me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, actually, it was Saturday night. I was at the bar working. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. He messaged me. He's like, dude, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Then that doesn't count if it was spoiled. What was the best thing that you saw? What was your jaw drop moment?
Jaw drop moment, Devil May Cry 5. It beats out Gears of War 5 by like the smallest fraction I could think of, because I knew Gears 5 was going to happen at some point. But just seeing Devil May Cry 5 and seeing Nero with his new haircut and the new fucking footage, like, oh my god, I can't wait for that game. Like I said, I'm gonna be broke, man. Between October and February, just nobody call me. I'm gonna be.
I think everybody can be broke at that point. There's too much stuff coming out during that time frame. What about you, Ward? Do you remember anything? Do you remember enough during that?
As you guys were talking, I started like to remember a few things here and there. I was like having like drunk flashbacks. I remember the Fox Zelda. That was awesome. But I think the coolest thing about that whole Microsoft announcement was the Cyberpunk. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, that bleed in with that hack effect. It was
that was super cool. Yeah, right. And it looked like a cool game because I'm not familiar with a lot of these games you guys are talking about. So Go figure.
Right. So I think that my jaw drop moment actually wasn't for any of the games because I mean most of the games we knew most of those were going to be coming. There was a lot of leaks that were kind of like leading up. So whatever it was almost like having confirmation and everything. It's good to see everything that they were doing. I think that my jaw drop moment was actually when they were talking about the acquisitions of studios that they were bringing in, and they said Ninja Theory. The second they said Ninja Theory, oh my god, it was over. I was done. To me, they won everything, A+. But no, that was actually my jaw drop moment when they were going through that. How does everybody feel about them actually picking up these studios to ramp up their output?
Well, I mean, that's been the big thing that everyone keeps saying is like Sony wins in the exclusives department. Sony's better than Microsoft because they get exclusives. So it's like, okay, Microsoft's aware of that. They're now buying studios to counter that. Now we just got to wait the 2 or 3 years for them to at least pump out something. I think it's a positive win. I mean, I don't like, mega corporations owning, 4 or 5 studios and then pumping stuff out. But at the same time, I own an Xbox, so I kind of want to see what they're going to make. But yeah, I see it as them reacting to the market, showing that they need to have first-party titles because they can't just rely on Forza, Gears, and Halo, which new Halo looks awesome. But I think I said that.
Right on. So, Duke, what would you rate the Microsoft conference?
I give Microsoft 5 screaming turtles out of 1 heron.
That sounds like a good proposition. Eeyore? From what you remember.
I don't know. I say they get like I don't know, maybe like a B-.
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 And you, Reaper?
Oh, I'm gonna let you answer this one first. I'm curious to see what you gave it, man.
Word.
I gave him an A-. I'll say the reason why I gave him an A- is because they came in to do a conference and they upheld the conference. Now while we could have wanted more, there's more things that you always could want more. I don't feel like that there was any spot that they were like bad about what they were announcing of what they were doing. Yes, some of this stuff, it might not be coming out as immediate as we would hope, but we do know that they are working on it. It is something that we can definitely see the commitment whenever they say that, hey, we're acquiring 5 studios. So that's always a good thing to see. So that's why I gave him an A-. They probably it's very close to A- to B+. So I'd probably say if I was grading them, they'd probably be at a 90% on the test. Yeah. What about you, Reaper?
I'm the exact opposite. I gave him a solid B+, but I could bump them up to an A- depending how everything else goes in the future. But it's a solid B+ right now, based off just games and footage they've shown of games and like major announcements. Like Duke was saying, all the world premieres, all the exclusive premieres, the acquisition of those studios. It definitely makes me want to lean more towards like a high B+ and a low A- than just a solid B+. Like they did so much work and showed off so much, and it's like, oh yeah, all these great games coming out, all these exclusive. By the way, we acquired a bunch of new studios too, so you're ready for more fun stuff for Xbox. It's like, holy shit, dude, you guys just completely decimated E3 2 days in. Is it even fair anymore?
Right, and I think that I will have to say that, like, I mean, despite it was a good thing for gamers to hear that announced. Don't announce that shit again. And the reason why I say that is you've done it once. Don't talk about it again. It's just like the whole TV and some kind of system update that you're going to be doing. Don't do that at E3. You got other things. Actually, one thing that we didn't even talk about because it wasn't part of the E3 conference, but actually Bohemia Interactive, the creators of DayZ, they're the developers behind DayZ. Did anybody get a chance to check out Vigor, the game that they have coming out?
No. I know you're high on it though.
Yeah, actually, it's more up my it's my cup of tea, mainly because I do like the aspect of what you have with PUBG and the Fortnite and the whole battle royale, but I like a little bit more hardcore. I don't need the fast pace. I played
you
hard for forever. So
you like to be like, hey, we're gonna do stuff. Let's do stuff together. And then the second they walk in front of you, just kidding, I'm gonna stab you in the back.
But
you'll
you see,
down and go.
wait,
I think I remember playing passive mode around you a lot in GTA Online. I believe that was a learned response.
Yes.
Not an initial.
Look, I get it. I'm an asshole.
Back in the day, yeah.
Oh wow, why?
Because
of me.
Learn.
Oh,
You learn. Like, hey, Disney's on.
You get shot enough times by friends during key points of mission. You stop running missions with those friends.
Yeah.
Look, we had some good times on GTA. I won't let this sour. I won't let this sour the conversation. But no, the reason, and I'm going to take what you said, Reaper, is contrary to a lot of that stuff. I think that the thing that I appreciate a little bit more about what they're doing is it is more of the DayZ aspect, where it's a long-term thing. Where if I go play PUBG, what I do right then and there, the only thing that's going to affect it in the future is cosmetics. That's not fun, in all reality. That's the same kind of shit that Sea of Thieves gets flack for, because you're not upgrading your character, you're not getting better at this and that, and this, that, and the third. When you load into PUBG, it's the same as when you load into Sea of Thieves. You start off at the base. Cosmetically, it's different. That's about it. So if I'm going to put my time into there, I want to feel that I need to have something to show that I put my time in there. And if that means that I have an RPG and you don't, tough shit. Put a little bit more time. So that's kind of what I liked about seeing Vigor. It's pretty much, you have your safe house. You're trying to build your safe house in your safe area. You have to go into the lands. Good luck, because it is dog eat dog out in that area. And then you collect, you scavenge, you get the fuck out, call it a day. So yes, I'll be that guy that's out there looking for those fuckers, scavenging around, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder what he has. Pinata time. So yes. Okay. So after Microsoft, we had Bethesda. Warfingers, how did you feel about that Andrew WK performance?
Oh wow, that was amazing. I'd never seen anything like that in my life ever, except for maybe I
enjoyed the live movie. I mean, yeah, it's not exactly what I was expecting, but it was fun, right? Yeah.
I think that the thing that disturbed me the most was I was in a party with Anchor, and Anchor is probably the biggest Bethesda fan that I know on the planet. Right now, he's running around as Mr. Bethesda. Shout out to Anchor. But not within 5 seconds of each other, both him and my girl are both, who's this? Who's Andrew WK?
I remember when he was on Cartoon Network a lot, like 10 years ago.
Are you sure you should date your girlfriend if she's the WK is?
Should you be in that shark suit? No, but we still love you.
It's
so give us a little bit of a recap of what did Bethesda bring to the stage there, Warfingers?
Oh man.
What got you excited? What got you pumped up?
Almost everything they released had me excited, honestly. Obviously, it was 76 coming out. I was juiced about that.
I feel like we could almost make 76 because, I don't want to interrupt Warfinger's thing. It's just because this has been a super decisive thing on the Reddit communities and whatnot. So, do you believe that Fallout 76 is going to ruin the Fallout franchise?
I don't care.
I'll let Reaper answer this one first. Do you think it's going to ruin the franchise as a whole?
All I know about Fallout 76 so far is "Take Me Home, Country Roads."
The word and West Virginia,
yes. Right?
I love John Denver.
Is it gonna ruin it? No, honestly, I feel like it could. Actually, I don't think it's gonna have any effect. Like, it's another Fallout game. Cool, bombs are dropped. Now you're gonna figure out what the first vault was like, and you get to be a survivor from the very first vault. Hooray! It's another Fallout game.
But there's no NPCs. It's just other players.
It's another Fallout game.
I mean, that's a pretty big change from a single player linear storyline. I'm not saying
that's huge.
I'm just saying that it is a slightly different outside of the formula thing. I can understand.
But, you know, I think that part of it is a little bit more believable. And here's the thing. I think that they did it smart. They did exactly what they did with Elder Scrolls Online. Instead of putting this at a future date, you know, as compared to where the Fallout series is right now, take it back to the beginning so that you're before anything, so that you can't really screw anything up at this point. And, you know, as far as the NPC impact, if you think about it, these are supposed to be the first survivors that are coming out of the vaults. These are the first individuals coming out of the vault. So there's not going to be a lot of NPCs. There weren't a lot of people out there.
No, and I agree. I'm just saying, like, it is slightly different from, you know, Preston Garvey telling me settlement.
Yeah, right. You know, and I think that I'm okay with that. I don't think that this game is going to ruin the franchise. There's going to be more Fallout games.
As much as Fallout Shelter or Brotherhood of Steel did back in the day, I feel like it's a very interesting just way for them to play with their IP while not messing up the lore of their game, because God help you if there's a bad mainstream Bethesda game.
And if of all of their franchises and all of the genres that they could be entering in and going into the survival with Fallout, that is a match made in heaven. Because when you're playing that by yourself, that's essentially what you're doing. You're out there trying to survive. You're scavenging. You're looking for your things. You're finding bullets as your currency and pop caps, and you know. So I think that what they did, they made it a match made in heaven, just like they did with the Elder Scrolls Online. That deserved to have an MMO, especially given the timeline. I think that it's great that they're doing it. I get that they also need to do it because right now games as a service is a thing, and you need to jump on that train while you can and have that opportunity. And right now, before too many more survival games, because like I don't want to say that survival games died off just because the Battle Royale came in. I think that people are just looking for the right kind of survival games because they're still popping up.
Ark.
Yeah, Ark is definitely the flagship right now. Ark is the flagship. You can't take that away from them. You know, even though DayZ was there before them, and but regardless, right now everybody's looking for what is the next good one.
Shitty ass Navy. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Not to go back, but Josh, you were saying something. You were asking me about what I thought it might do to the Fallout franchise, but I think you touched on something very important. You were talking about the lore, right? I think this game has nothing. There's no way it could affect the lore.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like that's what I was saying. Like I've been on this camp of I definitely don't like to pass judgment on games before I've seen them played, or at least gotten good reviews from other people that I know that have like-minded things. I see this as like I'm not a big multiplayer survival game guy, as a lot of people are in this era. It's just, I mean, it also makes sense for why 200 years later the shit's still not built, is that if you have an entire generation of motherfuckers who just kill you on sight, it kind of makes sense.
But that's a post-apocalyptic world, right?
Yeah. And, you know, everyone's going to try to eat your face. So it's going to be weird. But no, I'm looking forward to just seeing kind of what it is, how people develop it, and we'll just kind of go. So definitely. Fallout 76, I hope you guys have a good release. I'll see what it is, and if it looks fun, I'll buy it and I'll play it, and we'll just take it from there. What about Elder Scrolls?
That was a snippet. And, you know, here's what kind of cracked me up is after they showed the snippet of that Elder Scrolls, I saw a lot of flack that was going on. I was like, oh, why would you announce it so early? Or why would you just show, you know, this amount if you don't have a lot? But, I mean, it's the same kind of way that they showed off, you know, Skyrim. It wasn't a full-fledged, you know, reveal. It was just they panned over a stone carving that had like the Nords and dragons and the Dragonborn kind of like going at one another, candle lit and everything, and that's essentially all they had. I think that the more interesting conversation about it is where is it taking place. I think that there's two locations
Hammerfell, or where's the second?
Hammerfell or High Rock. Those are probably the two most likely locales for those to occur.
Hammerfell's in High Rock, I thought.
No.
Let me.
High Rock is
High Rock is with where the Bretons are from.
Right.
Ignore the clacking of my keyboard.
Isn't Hammerfell
okay, so
where they're from?
It should be a little bit more north.
Yeah, Hammerfell is like Nords and Dwarves. Nords and or Dwarves, I believe.
No. Nords are in Skyrim.
Skyrim, that's right. Clearly, I don't play Elder Scrolls at all.
So to be like knowing the location, which I feel like that they could have done a little bit better. I personally would have liked, hey, let's do the whole Vale.
Yeah. So it could be High Rock, which is Brenton's, Hammerfell, which is oh god, the guys with the curved swords. Have you seen them?
Scimitars. Oh.
No, that's the joke. If they have curved swords. Yeah, I think someone showed like a shot of like High Rock because of the coastline type thing, and like one of the cities, I think is kind of the biggest conspiracy theory, which would be neat. But it is what it is. They also have the expansion for online going with their conference. Wolfenstein, Youngblood. You get to play as BJ's daughters. That should be fun.
Prey's getting an update. It looks like they pretty much an RGM version of a dungeon-esque type deal. And also, if I'm not mistaken, it sounded like that they had a 4v1 multiplayer thing. That they
1 versus 5, yeah. So it's kind of like Prop Hunt for Gmod, if you guys ever played that, but instead of equal set teams, you got one person looking for 5 fake people who just have to hide and try to survive through the round, I suppose, which is always kind of fun if you ever want to look that up on the YouTubes.
Yeah, and then of course the big one that they were announcing at that time was Rage 2, and that's the whole reason why, with that Andrew WK. How do we feel about Rage 2? I know that the first one it didn't have as good of a reception as they had hoped for, and a lot of people were actually surprised that it was getting a sequel. Has anybody here played the first one? I know I didn't. I
actually played it with a buddy of mine because it had a co-op ability. It's not bad. It was fairly straightforward. It was kind of, I would say, just kind of if Fallout went a little bit more into heavy drug, like if you just basically had a guy who was on Psycho the whole time and a little bit of Jet. But it looks like they kind of took the Saints Row approach with this, which is like we started off as kind of like a GTA clone, and then we just went way with the wacky. Only this one's now grotesque violence, which I guess I'm okay with. Because, yeah, it looks interesting. I'll give it that. It's a lot more colorful than the original Rage was.
Right, it definitely is. And then, of course, they had, was it Unreal? No, I keep calling it Unreal Tournament because...
talking about Quake?
Yeah, of course there was Quake. And actually, me and Warfingers, we were talking about that. Like, I'm definitely not a fan of what they've done with Quake. I prefer the old, pretty much Doom ripoff of Quake.
Right.
Whereas,
I'm not
a big fan.
Pace. I mean, you move, you shoot, and you move. It's like
it feels
finest.
It just feels a little too outdated. Like that's not where shooters are at, and unfortunately, that's where Lawbreakers kind of like had its little downturn. It was trying to meet the middle ground between that as well as Overwatch, and now look at the studio. It's no longer.
Right. I don't know. I mean, Quake is kind of quintessential. I mean, they still have QuakeCon. Like that's still a big thing. It's just I think it's also a very much older crowd that still does it. Maybe not necessarily like the esports crowd, as it's being run by mostly like teenagers and young 20-somethings. It's just I'm just gonna pop out here, jetpack over to that flag, shoot that lizard guy with a lightning gun, punch that cyborg guy in the face, and just keep on moving.
Yeah. The same kid's like, "What's up, guys? Thank you for watching the video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe down at the bottom. Today we're going to
You forgot the accent though.
Yeah.
Totally, dudes.
Is that a dead body?
Right, and so I think that the only thing that we're really missing with it is probably Starfield. Of course, Starfield had its little teaser. Still, we don't know exactly what it's about. We know
It's a space station building game.
Space station building game.
Yep. Called it.
Space station building game. Man, that's slightly disappointing, but I guess we'll have to see more about the game after they start showing more of it. Of course, there was a Doom sequel that was announced, Doom Eternal. They briefly announced it, and then they said exactly before the conference started, I was asked, what 3 things do you expect to see here? I said, they're going to have a little teaser for what we were just talking about.
Fallout?
Starfield. No, for Starfield. They're going to show us and detail Quake champions for whatever reason again, and they're going to show us Doom. They're going to just show us a snippet of it, and then they're going to tell us, join us at QuakeCon. And sure enough, what did they do? They did Doom. Right after Doom, they did the whole Quake part, and then of course towards the end they had the snippet of Starfield. But yeah, so if you want to know more about Doom, you got to wait till QuakeCon.
Yeah.
It's August. All I know is that it's supposed to have twice as many bad guys as the first Doom, and I feel sorry for those demons because Doom guy has a bit of an anger problem, and he is very, very, very physical when he gets angry.
He also doesn't know the meaning of, dude, stop, they've had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, all in all, what would we give Bethesda? What would you rate Bethesda, Reaper?
I didn't watch it.
I feel like we're forgetting a game though.
Elder Scrolls Rage, Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, actually, here, yeah, because this
pirate
is
game,
part
right?
of my notes. No, they didn't have a pirate game. No,
Oh crap! Was that
was
Microsoft?
Ubisoft.
Oh,
No, that was Ubisoft.
Skull and Bones.
Here's one thing. This is actually on my list. I have the good and the bad, and part of my bad actually. Elder Scrolls has a game that is coming out to Apple. It is called Elder Scrolls Blades.
Oh,
Coming to the iPhone, is coming to the Android. I have no qualms with that. However, it is very mind-boggling that they are not putting that on the Switch, because that is the perfect quintessential game that you could easily put on the Switch.
It's going to be on everything. It's mobile first, but it's going to be coming to PC and consoles. It's also VR.
I don't remember them saying anything about
No,
consoles.
they said it's going to be on everything. Like that's going to be the whole thing because it's also cross-platform.
Okay, yeah, well, because I remember that with the VR part. Like you could be sitting at work in your meeting playing video games, or beating somebody up with that's on VR elsewhere. And to me, I was like, oh, that's kind of odd. But the thing that really just like confused me is like, this is the perfect game to put on the Switch, and I can almost guarantee the amount that they would sell just because it's on the Switch is, phenomenal.
Yep.
What's up, Reaper, and the Green Reaper in the chat? Yeah, that was actually on my bad side. Like, it was one of the most mind-boggling things that I saw. But I digress. So our Reaper, apparently he didn't even bother watching it. So, Warfingers, what would you rate this one?
I'd give him an A for sure, dude.
A. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I think I gave them a solid A minus, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, I gave them solid A minus. Theirs was solid across the board, I would say. Mm-hmm. And how many turduckens would you give them out of Skittles?
I give them 3 sold-out pre-order Power Armor T-51 helmets out of one GameStop. I literally sold out of that.
He sat there and
the conference was over
about that.
Right.
Like the guy at GameStop was pissed because he couldn't get his pre-order in, and when the clerk can't do it,
is ironic because
that shit went fast.
we have a former castmate that actually was on After Hours, and she was a little upset because she couldn't get it, and she also works for said company. But I digress.
Oh,
So
If that happens
also
to me with
Skyrim on Alexa. That's real. You can do that.
Skyrim, yes, that is that.
That was
And tell me
funny.
this. And everybody took it as a joke, and then next thing you know, across social media is like, "Oh my god, it's a real thing." It's like Alexa's turned into a dungeon master is essentially what it sounds like.
Not that kind of dungeon master. That's a third party app and
Okay, so that was for Bethesda. So next up we have Square Enix. Square Enix had their, which I was anticipating this to be at least an hour long, and I feel like that the second that we started it, we were almost done.
Yeah, they were pretty quick. They had the cold open with their CEO, and then they just right through it.
Jumped in, jumped out. Have a great day. See you next year. What?
You know, in a way, it almost I'll be honest. Parts of it, I almost felt that it was Sony Conference 0.5, like because almost everything on there was going to the PlayStation and Steam, and that's essentially for the majority. Of course, you did have your titles that were on there that would be going to either the Switch or the Xbox and everything, but it felt like the most everything was definitely going to PlayStation. So for everybody here, anything that stood out in this conference?
Is this the one that released Excitebike 5?
No.
You remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. No, that was the following conference. That was a Ubisoft. What about you, Reaper? I know that you were excited.
I'm trying to think if this is Jump Force or not, or if that was Microsoft. Oh god,
these guys are the absolute worst. What about you, Duke?
For Square Enix, no, I didn't. Again, most of these shows I didn't watch live. I watched the playbacks because PlayBack Gaming, actually because I work.
Nice.
Just off the top of my head, it was really short. It was really like 30 minutes or so. They just kind of popped through it real quick. New Just Cause, which is Michael Bay, the video game. If you've never played that, I believe there's storylines to it, but no one ever gets to those after you unlock the jetpacks and the grappling cables and the remote engines. New Dragon Quest, which is always a big thing. Kingdom Hearts, which was shown at Microsoft, was kind of shown again. I'm surprised they didn't show anything about like Final Fantasy VII Remake or any of that.
Yeah.
There's that cross promotion between Monster Hunter
and Final Fantasy
Online, which is neat because I know the Behemoth is showing up in Monster Hunter, and I think Final Fantasy is going to get like some of the costuming and maybe palicos. I don't know. I don't remember 100% of all that just off the top of my head. New Lara Croft, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I remember because this was kind of irked me was I was watching it on Mixer for Xbox. Was people, and I don't want to be like the old guy, but people are like, why did they make Nathan Drake a lady? And it's like,
all right,
wait, what? Like you don't want to be like that. You know that they came first. Like you don't want to play that card, but at the same time, it's like, are they dumb? Are they trolls? Are they just really young? They don't understand these things, and it's just like, do they know who Indiana Jones is? Like it's hard. It's hard to take some of that serious. But I always thought the new Tomb Raiders are really interesting. Graphics wise, they look really nice. Shooting people with a bow and arrow is really, really metal when you think about it because you're just stabbing people with a really long range knife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had those.
I'm gonna pick up Nier Automata for when it comes to Xbox. I heard a lot of
that was one thing that was announced. So it'll be coming to Xbox on your PC as well. Absolutely. I think that the thing that I was probably most excited about because it looks like one of my favorite new age RPGs, which if you didn't know was Bravely Default. I gushed over that on the 3DS. But they got the Octopath, the Traveler Octopath, something like that. That's coming to that's coming to the Switch, and it reminded me immediately. As soon as they popped it up, I was like, "Is this Bravely? Is this a new Bravely? Is this a new Bravely?" And no,
Nope.
but it does look like something that I'm definitely going to be picking up because it looks like a lot of the mechanics are actually taken from there. Very likely the same group of people that worked on Bravely Default are the same ones that worked on this one. Plus, with the Switch being the handheld now, very likely. So, I think that's probably really the only thing that we saw out of there. Yeah, I'm with you, Duke. Why they didn't make any mention of Final Fantasy VII is beyond me.
I mean, I would say they probably waited for the Sony show if they were going to do it.
At that point, that's what my thoughts were. It was like it's just going to show up at the Sony show. But yeah, so with this one, I'll be honest. I'll start the rating. I expected it to be a little bit longer. I expected a little bit more. I feel like that they're playing way too safe and cautious this day and age, especially to be at that stature. I gave them a D minus. And it wasn't because that they didn't have anything to show. For Square, I expected a little bit more, and I anticipated. I can't say that I can anticipate a little bit more. I expect a little bit more out of them. And you know, I've watched previous shows and everything, and they've definitely ran a little bit longer. And for something as high anticipated and as tight-lipped as you are about something like Final Fantasy VII, you should have said something. So that's actually why I gave it a D minus. But even that D minus is still eons ahead of where I put EA.
A lot of hate. I give it 2 Geisha rings out of 1 golden saucer. So,
do you have these written down somewhere?
If there's more,
top of your fucking head. Like, are these written down somewhere, or are you just like making these up as you go?
I would say that I'm talented and I make them up as I go, but I'm not talented, so I make them up as I go, and you have to suffer for that. I apologize.
My bad.
Did anybody else catch it? I don't. I feel like
I did.
This is one. You did? Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead. What did you give? What do you give? Do you have anything to say on this one?
I give it 1 Mako energy out of 15 Clim hazards.
Lame! He's just copying that other cooler, better-looking guy.
Clearly can't make anything up funny himself. Total loser. Yeah. Well. Honestly, like it was a waste. Like again, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy VII should have been announced. Show me something new. 30-minute long show. The highlights being scene footage of Kingdom Hearts, and then more like footage of gameplay from Tomb Raider, which was the only highlight. But it's like you guys literally have 2 of the biggest games coming out, in my opinion, in Tomb Raider and Kingdom Hearts, and you just like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna play it safe. See y'all next year. You know the games are coming out. You'll get more as it gets closer. Just show me something interesting. Keep my attention. This wasn't good.
So after Square, that's where we had good old Ubisoft.
I passed on this one, so don't ask any questions. I was driving, getting updates from you and Frodo. Looked out at my phone as I'm driving home from work, and it's just like 50 new messages. Dizzy and Frodo back. I'm like, nope, not doing any of this shit right now. I'm going to go home and crawl into bed.
Well, this man's fired. So what about you, Warfingers? I know that you watched it because you were there with us.
Yeah, I did. They announced the new Assassin's Creed, which looked really fucking cool. And then they also announced the pirate game.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, that was which Assassin's Creed had the pirates
Black Flag.
Yeah, Black Flag. It was basically Black Flag without stabbing anybody.
I remember when they kind of passed around that thing. It was like, would you play more of this type of game if it wasn't an Assassin's Creed? I was like, yeah, it's not bad if you keep the sea shanties. I didn't get that Ubisoft's thing. So.
That was always my argument about Black Flag. Is I'm not really big on the Assassin's Creed games. I played a handful of them. Never really beaten any of them. I loved Black Flag until I had to get off the ship and I remembered, fuck, I'm playing an Assassin's Creed game.
I enjoyed that one too, though. I'll go ahead, Reaver.
Right on. So what else? So we also had your Excite Bike and Trials.
All right, Excite Bike.
How about that entrance? That individual.
That was absolutely ridiculous. It was
Yeah.
like Guy Fieri or Fieri, whatever the hell the guy's name is, and the guy that used to jump over shit on his motorcycle. What's his name?
Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel.
Yeah, you know that guy.
That one guy.
I never watched Star Wars.
I'm bad
That
with
guy.
names.
That's
But you know what I was talking about, so that was the point. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was a lame ass game, kind of like their entrance. You know, I was like, why would I play this game when I could do the same shit on GTA 5?
I think that we all said that until we saw the crashes.
The crashes, yeah, the crashes
probably sold more of the game than the whole conversation about the game.
Yeah, the crashes were the best part. I would buy the game just to wreck.
Right on. They also had Division 2, which actually going into it, I wasn't very big on. I had a lot of hopes for the first division, so the second one I was just like, I'm going to have to see something.
I wouldn't even call it Division 2. I'd call it Division 1.5.
You call it 1.5?
Well, yeah. It's Division.
I get it. I get the joke.
Right.
I mean, they kind of approaching it like how they did the first division, which again, it looks cool. It's definitely gonna have to be, you know, I got burned the first time. I'm definitely gonna wait the second time for them to actually like get some word of mouth out, see if it's good. Because the first division was really great up until you got to Endgame, and then it just felt like they just ran out of runway and they had to put that game out because they're just like, there's nothing more immersion breaking than having a gunfight with a guy that lasts about 10 minutes because he's literally just absorbing your bullets. And it's just kind of hard.
Being a sponge.
Yeah, you just shoot a couple guys that go down. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm fighting to take back New York City. I'm a government man. And then, oh, okay, well, I'm going to shoot this guy with 15 rockets. Okay, he's down 20% of his health. Let's just keep doing this. It just, it's exhausting.
Yeah, so is the Dark Zone.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of hope there.
I will say, I actually put this one actually on my highlights. The reason being the whole 8-player co-op. I thought that's actually, I don't know a whole lot of games that give you 8 players that you can match up in a party to, you know, roll out with. They're introducing raids, so of course I need to see that play out because I don't see how you're going to be able to compete with Destiny's raids. Those are very intricate things to the point where they haven't made raids in the last couple of DLCs, which has upset a lot of people. But when they explain like how hard it is for them to make raids, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. But I think one of the good things that they're doing is at least for the first year, the content that comes out through the first year is going to be free.
Yeah, 3
as
major
far as the
DLCs that they're going to push. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like this is kind of the first reaction to the loot box controversy and things like that is that, hey, you can't have unbridled greed. You could have pretty high greed, but you can't have unbridled greed anymore because people, well, I wouldn't say they're savvy, but people get angry and we can whip that shit up real fast on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, like net neutrality.
But I think that aside from that, I think that they're also taking a little bit from this is exactly why Respawn, which I mean, I know that Witcher gave out free DLC, but you know, being a single player, but for multiplayer games, Respawn was really one of the first few that kind of stepped out. And the reason why in Destiny or Titanfall 2 that they didn't make the DLC paid was because they said that they didn't want to separate the community. And anytime that you drop something like the maps, that's a paid gateway to separate your community. Of course, you know, huge turnoff and everything. So it's good to see that at least one of these the games as a service of all of them are actually doing a free DLC at least through the first year. Now, anything past that, I mean, that's going to be up in the air. They may charge. Maybe it might be free. We don't know. There might not even be any DLC after the first year. But that's actually some of the highlights that I had put down. I'd have to agree. I skipped on Origins for Assassin's Creed. Again, I'm not a big Assassin's Creed individual. The Greek Mythos is a little bit more my style, so I'm actually a little bit more intrigued by it. I'm not sure if I'll pick it up. Let's see what else did they have there. I know we're missing some games. I know that they started off with the Just Dance. How many of you are picking that up for your Wii?
I don't have a Wii.
Yeah, what's that?
Or dancing. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2. Yep, that was actually a nice little cinematic intro.
Talked a little bit more about Rainbow Six Siege, Division 2, Trials.
Update to For Honor.
Yeah, that big one. Hell, I think you can get it for free if you go through Uplay right now for their starter or something.
Okay, for Siege.
Yeah, starter edition on Uplay. For Honor. So if you download it now, you get it for free.
Okay.
And it's also getting dedicated servers, which was kind of the biggest problem. Was the peer-to-peer network was just kind of silly. Crew 2, Starlink. I might be getting my Star Fox game. Kinda. I mean, there's.
How about that? They brought out Miyamoto on the stage and everything, and actually, actually, my biggest question when they actually brought him up on stage is like, does he even understand what the fuck's being said? Because I can barely understand Evis, so I don't know if Miyamoto could understand what is being said to him either.
There's just a lot of smiling and nodding going on. It was awesome.
Well, I mean, Miyamoto's kind of a nice guy, happy guy anyway, so why not?
Right? I know whenever I saw that, I was like, I can't understand you, guy. I don't know how he's going to understand you. So what else are we missing from Ubisoft? Okay, so Starlink was pretty much the last thing. I think that wraps up for Ubisoft.
Well, the Elijah Wood.
They brought not only Elijah Wood. Who was the other one that they brought out? Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And we know that the panties were hitting the TV screens at that moment, and that was what that earthquake was, right? So Gordon-Levitt, they're working on that. Was it called a Ready Start or Red Start? Something similar to that. Essentially, they want to get the community involved in the creation of Beyond Good and Evil. And then Elijah Wood, that one is supposed to be, it looks like it's a horror game of sorts. Maybe a psychological thriller.
Looked pretty interesting. I don't know if I'd buy it, but the trailer looked neat.
What about you, Duke? Are you going to be playing that on your headset?
Probably not. As this is fake. It's a prop for the show. I do it all for you, the fans.
This is authentic. It's really freaking hot right now, too.
Yeah, we can see you over here sweating. So what would you, at the end of the day, what would you give the rating for Ubisoft, Mr. Warfingers?
I give him a C+ because of the pirate game.
Okay. And you, Duke?
I didn't actually get to watch this on its playback even, so I will abstain.
Okay, so
one Switzerland out of a European Union.
That sounds about right. I actually gave them a B+. They came with what they needed to come with. There wasn't anything that wasn't too surprising, but they brought the games, they gave dates, it didn't seem like anything just seemed out of place there. Even for the Just Dance, I'm glad that they did that at the beginning. Now, if they would have given this dance thing like later on, I probably would have given them a worse score. But they did that at the beginning. They got it out of the way. Even the little drum roll with the Donkey Kong DLC for Mario and Rabbids, they did that pretty early on. So I'm glad that they did it, got it out of the way so that we watch all the rest of it, get down to the meats of that. So after that, Duke, did you get a chance to watch Sony's?
I also kind of missed that because I hate my life.
Sounds about right.
It's okay. We love you.
What about the rest of y'all?
I just met him, but I like him.
That's good. Right. That's good. You guys will be the last ones I kill when they take over.
So here's the thing that I'll say about the whole Sony press conference. And Sony, they didn't announce, they didn't do anything as far as announcement wise. They didn't mess up anything in that regard. The pacing might have been a little bit off, for some individuals, and that's fine. Yeah, I see you. We'll get to you here in just a minute. All right, Reaper. So the pacing might have been a little bit off, but they brought the games, they showed gameplay, they gave dates. And I know that there's been a lot of, Xbox versus PlayStation as far as where you're just showing multiplats. It was on both stages, okay? So I took that, throw that out the window. The good thing is whenever they showed their games, there was gameplay that came associated with it. Now, likely they've been working on Last of Us 2 longer than 343's been working on Infinity, but I digress. So they bring gameplay. You get to see that pretty fucking gruesome. I think that the thing for their conference, it kind of was like the most. I don't want to use the term upsetting, but uncomfortable. As a viewer, I was uncomfortable that these people had the audacity to bring all of their fans into this hot ass tent outside and say, "Hey, we're gonna have this conference in here. This is gonna be a journey."
That's why you watch it.
We're gonna have a swell time. So they scurry all these people into this hot ass tent in the middle of Southern California. How's the weather out there right now? Four Fingers out in California.
It's 8:00, and I think it's like 75 degrees, so it's nice.
It's hot as balls.
Okay. So
It is hot.
it's nice for. Okay, so during the daytime, what is the temperature like?
Well, because I'm in the Bay Area, it was like 90 degrees, so I can imagine SoCal would probably be like 4 to 5 degrees hotter, so probably close to 100, maybe
Close to
95.
100. Okay,
Yeah.
And so right in the very front of this entire audience, it's hard to miss her, and I felt so bad for this lady. She had to have been, 7 to 9 months pregnant, sitting right up front, belly showing and everything. Nothing against that. It's not about, like, oh, there's a pregnant lady. But oh my God, they got this hot ass tent and they got this poor pregnant lady sitting right up here and they got, she's pretty much gawked by the camera and everything. And from what I was reading through Twitter, there was a couple of people that actually ended up having to leave out of that tent because citing things like panic attacks or potential heat strokes. So that was just the beginning. And it just felt like what they were doing is they were taking the crowd, they were moving from locale to locale to locale. And in between each of those locales, there was a little bit of gameplay that was playing, or they would have trailers that were being played. And oh my God, it's just the transitioning was horrible. And I hope that they learn from this mistake. Don't ever do that again. As a viewer from home, I was uncomfortable watching these people having to be subject to that. And of course, they had a couple of things where people were playing instruments here and there, whatever. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the games. But they did come. They did bring the games. They showed a lot of them. There's actually a couple that I was interested in. Ghost of Tsushima, that samurai game, that looked pretty fucking badass. Did any of y'all catch any of them? Because before we get to the one that I'm most excited about, and don't you say a word about a Reaper. Anything that y'all saw for Sony that got you excited?
I saw Ghost of Tsushima. That looked. The lighting in that game was just phenomenal. Like, just kind of going into that sea of grass and just seeing that move around you, like that looks solid. It looked really well done. The others look through Control, which is kind of like the Quantum Break for Sony, I guess, this year.
Right.
Versus last year was.
It's a multiplayer.
Death Stranding is very Kojima. I mean, I think that's the best thing you can say. It's a very Hideo Kojima game. Spider-Man, I'm really excited about that. Last of Us Part 2, I'm not going to claim that like I'm a big Last of Us fan. I mean, it's a solid game, not going to lie. I'll probably pick it up. It's just, I guess I'm just not on the hype train as much as other people are.
I have to agree with you. Like, I mean, the first one I was pretty intrigued by. The second one, there's just, I guess it's like a one-trick pony for me, and at least in my mind, where I saw it the first time and I was like, hey, this is pretty interesting. And then now that the sequel's coming out, I'm like, it's a little bit less interesting than when I first saw the original.
I will say, I apologize. Go
ahead.
For Ghost of Tsushima, the opening with the wood flute, really liked it, or the bamboo flute, for like the first minute. Then it got weird.
Awkward.
Yeah.
weird.
I feel like they could have just kept it like. Then they had like the banjo part before that. It was just like they really liked music, I guess.
Right. Ghost of Tsushima. I think that to me that was like as far as the exclusives go, that was the one that definitely piqued my
I mean,
interest
it's
the
Sucker
most.
Punch. It's infamous, so it's going to be kind of stylish.
Yeah, yeah. I think that the thing that I was actually watching was when towards the end, whenever he's squaring off with Ogirl,
Yeah.
watching as they're moving against one another, watching the leaves rustle from underneath them, and seeing how that they moved and how they left the paths as they're moving through that area. To me, that was just like, that's awesome. I think that that's probably equivalent to whenever you see a game where you're walking in the snow and your footsteps are left behind, and it looks so realistic.
That's a Metal Gear Solid reference.
So I think that definitely was the highlight for their exclusives. Did you see anything, Reaper? I know that they had a different trailer for Kingdom Hearts, at least.
They did, yeah. They showed off. I think the only different trailer they showed was the Pirates of the Caribbean, like Duke just said. Which I'm interested to see how Jack Sparrow ties into Organization 13, and then Cooking with Ratatouille as one of the summons. It looks like that was really it. But I believe somebody fell asleep during the PlayStation, the Sony presser.
I mean, it wasn't me. So
I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Who the hell would you fall asleep during? It was one of me fell asleep. Remember you fucking in a party when you woke up and said
No. That wasn't during this presser. I tried to watch the Xbox, the inside Xbox, and yeah, I fell asleep.
Oh, that's what it was.
That thing put me to sleep.
Oh, boy, I fell
That's
asleep.
what put me to sleep. What about you, Warfingers? Did you see anything coming out?
I didn't catch the Sony thing, but just today I was watching the little fucking CGI movie for Stranding or whatever it's called, whatever Stranding. Yeah, and that shit looked badass. It looked like a badass game.
Yeah, but nobody knows anything about it, dude. You can release 15 more trailers and somebody, dude, what the fuck is going on in your game?
Yeah, that's what I was asking myself the whole time. Like, what is this all about? But it looked really neat.
When you see Norman Reedus carrying those bags, like with all that shit on his back, it does make sense in the fact that's how it feels like when you're playing RPGs, and it's like you carried 14 guns. That's about the size of the bag you need.
So what about you? What about you, Dizzy? What did you see in the Sony presser that you liked so much? Let me get
probably the thing. Oh yeah. Go ahead, get comfy because we're about to be on an amazing journey.
On that cue, I'm going to leave.
Right.
So if you know me, there's one game of this series that really, to me, it was the turning point of this entire series. And we're going to leave this, we'll say number 4, because it was number 4. It was the turning point. And wow, it did a lot of good for the series. It also did probably one of the worst things that I think that it could have done for the series. And that changed the whole dynamic, and it changed the whole story element for this entire series. So much to the point that once we get to number 7, they had to do another reboot of it. I'm an OG player of the Resident Evil series. And when I saw Resident Evil 2 sitting in that presser, oh my lord. Oh, I was through the roof and happy. And I think that the thing that really made me the most happy was after Homeboy got his neck chewed off, skin ripped off, flesh being eaten. And the zombie looks up, you can see the glossy eyes. The classic glossy eyes of zombies. Not these biochemical creatures, but these zombies. Not these hillbillies who are drunk and hyped up on PCP and cutting your limbs off and eating them. Or a parasite-ridden individual who is just coming at you because they're crazy. No, the zombies. The original thing from the genre, the zombies. And they went back to that. I was so through the roof whenever I saw that. Yeah, they did change it up. No more crazy camera angles, which I guess I'll live with that. I'll live with that because I like that the direction that they're taking this one. They showed gameplay footage of it, and oh my god, it looks so awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And then to find out that it comes out in January, oof. I am so excited.
So you know you guys made fun of me for taking my pants off when Kingdom Hearts 3 got a release date? Pretty sure Dizzy did more than just take his pants off when Resident Evil came on the screen. Pretty sure he had to buy a new TV and apologize to his girlfriend for the shit he did to that TV. The couch got thrown out.
I'm not apologizing for Resident Evil 2, all right? First and foremost, I won't apologize for that one bit.
Hope that couch is scotch guarded. Damn.
And that's actually part of On My Good Side. That's actually number 1 is Resident Evil 2 Remake, the OG zombies, the real Resident Evil. I call that the real Resident Evil. Now, as much good as 4 did for the series, and I know that I will argue with a lot of individuals because a lot of people, they look to 4 as like, oh, this is the GOAT. To me, 2 will always be the GOAT. That's the pinnacle of the series. 4 did a lot of good, but I think that 4 also did a lot of hurt to the series as a whole.
Leon looks so young in this remake. He just looks like he's freaking.
Well, he is young rookie, at this point. Yeah, he just
like first day of work.
Yeah, he's just strolling into the office like, I'm ready to. Oh shit!
Maybe that's why he's the only one who's wearing body armor. All the other cops are just normal cops. Like, oh, look, a rookie wearing body armor. It's Raccoon City. We have a crime rate 0 because we didn't exist before this plot point.
Yeah, so I think that now don't quote me on this, but from the perspective from what I'm hearing with the rumors is it might be more of you're going to be swapping off throughout story points with this one, which I knew that whenever they were making the remake that they were making changes and they were adding things to it. And some of the elements you can actually see that, were added to it. But from what I'm understanding, you swap off at story points between Leon and Claire. So once you get to a certain point, you're going to move over to, well, what's Claire doing during this time? And then you go back to Leon after a certain point. So that should be pretty interesting. Again, I'm super stoked about that one. That's actually that jumps to the highest anticipated game that's going to be coming out in the next year for me. I'm going to have to struggle through and go play all the other ones. I did pick up all the other Resident Evils aside from 2 and 3. Whenever they screwed up and sold it all for $15, which I told Reaper about, and he didn't pick it up during that time. And then next day they were charging $45.
Dude, that's like me telling you to go out and buy Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the Xbox if that ever happens. Which, sorry, Frodo, it never will. Like you're not gonna do that. I know that. I'll never buy a Resident Evil game. That being said, I probably will buy Resident Evil 2 remake because that shit looks creepy as fuck.
So, any lasting impressions for Sony? What are we giving Sony as far as ratings for those who watched?
I'll give it a C+. And it's only that high because Resident Evil 2 remake and that game looks fucking amazing. Like I'm gonna buy it, like I just said, and because I'm such a fanboy for Hideo Kojima, you could literally give me no story for Death Stranding. Just give me the freaking bland game itself. It's like, go explore for 1,400 hours. And be like, okay, cool. Wouldn't think twice. Would not care.
Okay. What about you, Duke?
I give it a green herb and a red herb, but not a first aid spray.
Sounds about right.
You jerk.
Do you have a rating at all, Warfingers?
No, because I didn't catch their.
You didn't catch that at all? That's fine. That's fine.
But I did see the Resident Evil trailer. I agree. It was pretty awesome looking. So I'll give it 1 high 5.
I think all in all, at the end of the day, I gave Sony a B, mainly because just the presentation was just so off. And this is an E3, and you can't have your presentation be that awkward. And again, it's really hard to make somebody who is at home feel uncomfortable, and they succeeded in that department. So that's the main reason why I gave them down. Now, there wasn't anything game related that they did bad, and of course, at this point, this is when we all knew we weren't going to see anything about Final Fantasy VII, and we weren't going to see shit about the Avengers game, in which both of those is highly disappointing that we didn't see that at Microsoft, at Sony, or at the Squaresoft presentation. But I digress. So after Sony, we had Nintendo. Did anybody happen to catch any of the Nintendo stuff?
Yep.
I think that there was at least 2 of us.
I watched all of it. It was great. It was a lot. It reminded me a lot of Square with how short it was. Like they literally took everything that they possibly could, except for one title, and condensed it down to like 15 minutes. And they're just like, by the way, the last 20 minutes of coverage is gonna be this one game. And I sat there the entire time, pants on, because I was at work, but big smile on my face, like, yes, give it to
But
me
at the
now.
same time, that one game does have people from all the other games represented.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I cannot wait for this.
Yeah,
That's
no,
actually pretty huge.
big Super Smash Brothers. Like, although no Waluigi.
You never know, man. He could, if he wasn't the others, he's in it.
Well, he was an assist trophy before, but he's not. He was never a character.
I wonder if they'll bring him back then.
That's
As an
actually
assist
one
trophy.
thing. They brought a Bomberman in as an assist trophy as well, which is kind of odd.
I love the announcement. It's just like, if you're not careful, somebody might photobomb you. He just pops in. That's like, God dang, that's a subtle play on words.
That's a terrible. Yeah, that's not subtle. That's terrible. It's like that's obvious. We all saw that coming. Yeah.
did.
So everybody in there, they've announced 1 new character so far. I know that there's rumors.
In theory, 2. Daisy was never a character.
Daisy was one.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so Daisy and then Ridley. So far,
Ridley,
those are the
yes.
only new ones that have been announced. I'm still holding out that there's going to be a deal with Microsoft to bring Banjo into there. We'll see, but
Well, I mean, Banjo. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking Crash Bandicoot's on Nintendo now, so for the Switch.
well,
I
yeah,
don't know if you caught that or not.
but we knew that was coming for a while.
Banjo's Microsoft now.
No,
Well, they
they're
bought Rare
with
a long time
Activision.
ago.
Oh, that's right. They did. Hopefully they'll let it come back because that'd be pretty fun.
Right on.
Have kids start eating people.
So, I mean, aside from that, which I whenever they did go over the Smash Brothers, I thought that was cool and all, but I did feel that they spent entirely too long talking about the game. But, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I will say with Nintendo, it felt like that they showed everything that you would anticipate coming out from a Nintendo. They showed you a new, Fire Emblem. You got a new Xenoblade Chronicles. That one, number 2. Let's see, you got, of course, they talked about the new Pokemon game that is coming out, which I'm surprised that they didn't talk more about that, rather than Super Smash Brothers, given which one will probably sell more in the long run. But that's actually pretty interesting with the Pokemon, with the whole, you get that little Pokeball, you could use that in place of your Joy-Con, and it comes with Mew already pre-installed into there.
That bothers me a little bit, like with how
it does. It really does.
Mew is like, oh, you buy the Pokeball controller, you get a Mew. Like, come on, that's like the hardest Pokemon in the world to find. You're just gonna give it to everybody? Like, don't do that.
I know that there's a couple of naysayers about the game. I'll say I don't want to be a naysayer. I think that it's interesting that the way that they're taking it while they're including Pokemon Go in the concept of this. So if you're out there and you're playing a Pokemon game and then you find something and you can bring it back home and then you could raise it, tame it, or train it, so on and so forth. I thought that was pretty interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I'll definitely be one of those picking it up, and they're splashing in November. So that's part of the – what's that?
Which one are you going to get?
I'll never buy a Pikachu game. Never.
I might have to, just because.
I mean, in the long run, why does that even make any sense when you know that you could just get an Eevee and turn it into whatever the fuck you want it to be?
Because I don't like changing my Eevee to anything. I want base Eevee and nothing else.
Yeah, we call people like you, if you were a spice, you'd be flour.
Yeah.
This sounds about right.
Powdery.
Yeah, basic bitch is what I would refer to you as.
Damn.
Anyways. So yeah, I'd say that was probably the highlight that they had. They briefly talked about. I can't even think of anything else that they briefly talked about.
I think the highlight that they actually announced and it came out today at 1:00 was Fortnite on the Switch.
Oh yeah, Fortnite.
That was probably their aside from Super Smash, that was probably their biggest announcement. Like, hey, by the way, you can now take Fortnite Mobile with you.
Yep.
Which that's gonna sell so many Switch consoles.
And it's crossplay. So it's crossplay with everything except for PlayStation, mainly because PlayStation is not going to do crossplay because of Microsoft. But
I actually just read today that they are anybody who's been banned on a Nintendo Switch or PlayStation account can't play it on the other account. So if you're banned on PlayStation, you can't play Nintendo and vice versa.
Yep.
I was like,
all you really got to do is you just got to make a new account with Epic.
Yeah.
You know, who doesn't have more than one email, anyways?
True.
I mean,
here's a guy. Billy's got 5 Twitter.
Have extra names. I have 2 families.
You know, so they did announce that. And actually, another thing that they gave away at Bethesda's conference is they announced, was it Fallout Shelter? I've actually been playing that. Actually, I still got it down here. Right now, I'm waiting until after to see how much stuff my person I sent out into the wilds has collected for me.
Buy bottle
I get some good stuff. Probably. They haven't been bringing shit. Which it's the craziest thing. I don't have resources for anything, but everybody's super happy. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I'm probably playing We Happy Few and not, the other. So Nintendo, I think with them, I actually gave them a solid B+. They came out, they presented great as always. There wasn't nothing that was too mind-blowing. Probably the only disappointment that I would say with it was that there was nothing about Metroid Prime 4, which we know that they're working on it, but nothing about it. So that would have been nice to see where they were going with that. I think they just
started that last year, if anything. It's kind of like how Elder Scrolls 6 is. Like, we're acknowledging the game's coming out in 4 years.
Very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 6 years, more likely. That's probably my only downside that I have with that. To see Super Smash Brothers featuring the entire cast levels, a couple of changes are on there. I think that's pretty much what I have with the plus with that one. I give them a solid B+. It was a good showing that they put a good show in general. They normally do. I know that a lot of people, they prefer to have the live footage with them. But unfortunately, they don't do that, and that's because of the language barriers, which is all right. So that's why I give them a B+. What about you, Reaper? What'd you give them?
I'll give them a B. Like I said earlier, I gave Square Enix a lower grade because of the short time frame of their announcement and their press conference itself. But the Super Smash reveal is just amazing to me. Like them announcing Ridley, and they're bringing every character ever back from every Super Smash. The different versions of Link, Zelda, Sheik, Daisy. Like I'm excited for that. And then the bold move of bringing Fortnite to the Switch, which we knew was going to happen. It was rumored in the past and stuff, but for them to actually be able to pull it off and I can be playing Fortnite crossplay. Like I'm on my Switch, you go on your Xbox. I can be on my TV and I have to let my dog out, but I don't want to stop playing this game, so I'll take it with me. Like it's going to be a huge hit for gamers. They honestly probably see the Switch selling a couple thousand more copies just for the portability sake.
Oh yeah,
but overall it was just too short. All the games they showed off were already announced and known about, so it was just the biggest thing was again Super Smash, the roster list. That was really it. And it was like, okay, well, cool, but you don't really do much to impress.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I get exactly where you're coming from. Any last words as far as Nintendo for you or Duke?
Looking forward to playing new Smash. Buy a Switch.
Let me know when you buy a Switch, man. I'll throw down.
And you get you have to go get your Nintendo Social Security number to give out to all your friends.
Super terrible online practice.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the E3 conversation that we have for us and everything. We do appreciate everybody that has tuned in this entire time. Yeah, we'll be back next Tuesday with new subjects, and hopefully a little bit more of this E3 has passed through. We'll have a little bit more time to resonate with all of that. But we're going to be getting out of here, and we do thank y'all for tuning in. Any last words from anybody?
So lifelike.
I want Duke's VR headset like now.
No. I called next actually, so
Damn it.
yeah, sorry.
Fine, I'll wait.
Sounds good. So Reaper, where can everybody find you at?
I am on the Twitter machine at ReaperXLE. It's also my gamer tag on the Xbox. I'm also on other social media, but if you want to know what that is, just shoot me a message on Twitter and I'll give that out to you.
And what about you, War? Where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Twitter also at war_fingers with a Z. And my gamer tag on Xbox is also war fingers. It's war space fingers. So yeah.
And what about you? He's too far into there.
No, man, I'm just tripping out into outer space, man. If you can find me, man, we'll do stuff, but it ain't gonna happen, man.
Very likely you're only going to find him on Discord anyways.
If you can find Duke of Deception.
Which make sure that if you do have Discord, make sure you do follow us on our Discord, join the conversation. We're trying to get that pop in, so you've got your friends, invite them in, and join in. Absolutely. Of course, you can find me at iDizzy81, of course, here at YouTube as well as my gamer tag on both the Xbox and the Nintendo Switch. And actually, I have it on the PlayStation as well, even though I don't play PlayStation. But yeah, we're gonna be getting out of here, and we thank y'all once again. Holler.
Late.